Welcome to Be in Tune. Join me, your host Darien, and my producer Joab, as we have conversations that deepen our connection with our higher power, ourselves, and the world around us. So, get ready to tune in, turn up that volume, and welcome to the Be in Tune podcast. Hello. Joab, I'm so excited this morning. Welcome to another episode of the Be in Tune podcast. But this episode is just not your regular episode, right, Joab?
This is not. No, this is not.
This episode is very special because it is the first episode of season 2. I love those sound effects. I just love the sound effects.
For sure. Have to.
Yes, it is the start of our season 2. Oh my gosh. First of all, for those of you who've been, rocking with us since season 1, right? Supporting us, we love you and we thank you. So, yes, let's kind of get into it. So, for today's episode, I thought it was just really important for us to kind of have like another reintroduction. So please allow me to reintroduce us. We are the Be in Tune podcast. I am your host, Darien, and we have my lovely producer here, Joab. All right.
What up?
Joab, I love the energy, Joab. I'm loving it.
Listen, I've been waiting for season 2. I've been waiting for ever since I put on the Instagram post. I was like, season 2 is about to hit crazy.
It is. You have been waiting for season 2. You've been like really excited. Like, and the ideas that you keep dropping, like the text that I get about like, hey, so for this season, for the new season.
Cause I just loved how it ended last season. I know like the last episode we talked about, what were some things that we wanted to go into, but like I just love how it ended. So it made me look forward to season 2.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So let's kind of just break down what is the Be in Tune podcast, right? For any of our newcomers. And then we can talk also about how did we end last season. So for starters, the Be in Tune podcast is a podcast on faith, mental health, and community, right? These are discussions that all of our discussions are going to surround these 3 topics: faith, mental health, and community, right? Just to be repetitive there. And our goal here is just, of course, to have the conversations, but to also to give encouragement. The world, as we know, is a mess. I said this last season, and I still continue to repeat it this season. And it's more important now than ever for us to, 1, listen to each other, 2, gain perspective, and 3, be there for one another as a race, as a species. Is that too much, Joab? Or,
No, that is like right on the money. That's the money line right there. You got that.
Yes. And being a licensed mental health counselor myself, I just thought, hey, why not have a platform? And thanks to the encouragement of Joab, right, have a platform to kind of spearhead a bit of these conversations. Yes, there are plenty of podcasts out there. And if you're listening to several and you got your favorites, awesome. I'm so happy for you. We're just hoping that the Be in Tune podcast could just be on your list of podcasts that you listen to, right? And join us in the conversations and have these conversations outside of listening to the podcast. Have the conversations within your community. With also that being said, the things that I say here as a licensed mental health counselor, I just need you all to know this isn't the free therapy that people are hoping for, okay? Like I am not out here trying to therapize people. Joab, you could back me up here, right? Like that's never how I come across, right?
Not at all. No. I mean, you don't even like not for the free ski, as the young people say.
Not as
Am I,
the
am,
young people say. Joab, what are you trying to
I know,
say?
I know. Am I dating myself? Dang. Am I dating myself? Like, am I putting my age out there? I mean, like, I know I'm like approaching the 30s, but dang now.
Oh, Joab, I don't want to hear anything. Okay, as
Listen,
someone who's
listen.
already on the other side of that, like in
You
that
know,
decade, come on
you
over.
know,
Come on over.
I'm taking my time. I'm good, thank you. I am.
I can't.
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. I
Not him
appreciate it. I
slow.
appreciate the offer.
Not him slow crawling his way into the 30s. Bro, you're gonna like it. It's a good time. It's a good time.
That's what everyone says. That's like the better years. But no, we'll see. We'll see.
I
I'm
I
there in
like
spirit.
I'm gonna say this. I like to say this. I like to say that the 30s are just like your 20s. You just make way better decisions.
That's what I hear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I could see it though. I definitely could see it because I could be honest. All throughout my 20s, where it was definitely a trial. That was like the trial run. So I could see the 30s being that, but like definitive and better.
I heard that in a movie, like someone decided to adopt another child because they wanted another child, but they're like telling their older child, they're like, with this one, this is our chance to do better than what we could have for you. We screwed it up, so we're hoping for this one. It was a comedy. It
not,
was hilarious.
not screwed it up. Dang.
We kind of screwed it up here, so we were really hoping that this time we'll do better. We'll actually
Uh,
be the best parents ever.
which that's a whole other discussion for a whole other different day.
Yeah, yes. I don't mean to trigger anyone on that one. But going back to like the matter at hand, right? Just talking more about what is this podcast. Yes, I'm not out here trying to therapize anyone. I'm not out here trying to come across better than anyone. I am a human just like you. I have my good days. I have my not so good days. I have my ups, my downs. Um, yes, I do have a degree in psych, and okay, my attitude is that doesn't make me any better than you. Yes, I do understand certain not theological. No, that was not a Freudian slip. That was not a Freudian
Ooh.
slip. No, the one who's
Ooh.
going to be a pastor here is you, Joab. All right.
Whoa. I see. You see how you just flipped that 180?
I got
That's
defensive. I got
crazy.
defensive, ladies and gentlemen. I got defensive.
Theological. This is in the recording. This is documented. Wow.
If
This
you
you said
don't
it.
if you don't know what we're talking about and why Joab is feeling real smug right now, okay, it's because I've always teased him about him being a pastor. Because he be dropping some spiritual gems that you're just like,
I
okay,
can't.
Pastor Joab or Father Joab, depends on which.
Father Job is crazy. Father Job is crazy. Listen, you said theological degree for a reason, or theology for a reason.
No, I
But
meant to say psychological. Okay, we're gonna edit that part out of the pod.
no, we're not. No, we're not. That is staying right in.
Like I said, just because I have a psychological a degree in psychology, like I said, I too relish in discussions and learning from others. So that's why also in this podcast, right, we're gonna continue to have guests. We already got some guests lined up. I'm already hyped.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already hyped.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Yes.
Excited.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So we're gonna have some experts in the field coming through and having wonderful discussions with us and teaching us and helping us to learn and grow and gain perspective. So that is what this podcast is all about. And the reason why we're focusing on faith, mental health, and community, because these are just three areas I would say in my and Joab's life, right, that are just extremely important. The mental health piece, obviously, because, licensed mental health counselor here, and I'm a bit of a psych nerd. Joab, too, is a psych nerd, even
Mm-hmm.
though he is not getting his PhD. Did I mention that Joab's getting a PhD? He's not getting his PhD in that.
No. No.
My dude is very passionate about mental health, and it's been great to see and hear all of the discussions surrounding mental health. Awesome. Let's
Hmm.
continue. Let's continue growing, people. Let's just continue growing. Um, so, yes, that's why mental health is part of it. Faith, Joab and I, we are Christians. We're just going to just put it out there. We're Christians. We are followers of Christ. That is our belief. Now, are we out here trying to shove our beliefs down anyone's throat? Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not. No, absolutely
not
not.
at all.
That's not our style. All right. We're not even like that, like outside of these microphones, you know?
No.
Not at all. But it is very important for us to have that the conversations that brings on faith, because faith, for many folks and for us, it's hope for us. It gives us direction how to live our lives and what to put our hopes in, right? Especially when we're having a bad day, or especially, let's say, anxiety or depression is getting the better of us. And there's a lot of research out there on the importance of spirituality and mental health. Just want to throw that out there.
Mm.
So it's it's already a conversation that's been discussed. So it's just, again, very important for us to bring that into our combos. Especially, we both have a passion about bringing the faith and mental health element together in
Yes.
churches. Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Joab?
Yeah. No. Yes. I could definitely say like me being a psych nerd. It stemmed from Psychology 101, if I'm being honest. But
Yes.
I think what's cool is like, well, I guess your dynamic being like you're a therapist, and also you're in therapy. For me, I could also say like the byproduct is like, yeah, I'm in therapy, like, so I'm a byproduct of like the field of psychology. Like, I'm, seeing it firsthand, I'm experiencing it, I'm growing from it. So but you touched on the faith aspect. I think that's one thing that I've never seen like as much. And I think that's where my passion grew even more so, was bridging the two, because I feel like something that should already be bridged together isn't,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like alarming to
Mm-hmm.
me. So yeah, like that's why I definitely agree. Like faith and mental health is important, just together, not two separate things. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that our virtual church, that you and I attend, right? For many years, that was just the discussion right there. Mental health and faith, like they were
Hmm.
together. Like and I think it was just like every week we were having a discussion on it, and people were
Yeah.
getting very vulnerable about like
Hmm.
just this aspect, right? And if this applies to you, maybe you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally can relate, right? The aspect of having your own mental health issues or having poor mental health, and where does your faith come into play in this, or feeling like you're neglecting your faith if you go and seek professional help for your mental
Hmm.
health.
I hear that a lot.
In the words of KDM, baby.
I hear that. Oh my goodness.
it, like
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be separate. It does not have
No.
to be separate. It- Bring it together. Bring it together. If anything, one gives way for the other. You know what I mean? Like,
Oof. Oof. Oof.
Oh my God.
I like the one that says, "I've been delivered."
I
I
got
am
you.
delivered.
But the oh my god was more appropriate. But I love it.
But realistically though, like, but it's true. And I think you even said this in a different episode before. It's you sitting next to somebody in the pews, but your mental health is kind of out of whack, is almost like a disservice, because you're not
Mm,
showing up as your best self. So why not bridge the two together? Because that will make you more effective, not just in church, sitting in the pews next to somebody, but also outside as well. So yeah, it's important. It's very important to like bridge the two.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, You said it beautifully, Joab. Agreed. Agreed.
Thank
What
you,
he
thank you,
said.
thank you.
Yeah. So for some of our listeners, right, maybe the faith piece is not something that would be applied to you, or you wouldn't say, hey, this isn't really relevant in my life. It's okay. We do not discourage you. We do not discourage you from listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, we are talking about mental health, we are talking about faith, and another thing that we're talking about is community. Community.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
think
get into that, please.
oof. You know which episode is coming into my mind right now is when we had Ileana on.
How
Hmm.
so? How so?
First of all, I love that girl. This let's just start there. Right, that's my homie. The second, Illy really talked about how we really like it, the conversation that we had with her really, I believe, challenged us to ask the question, what are we doing for our communities and how are we looking out for one another?
Yeah.
So let's really get into that piece and that portion, because as I said, the world is a mess. In this country, I've never seen such a divide. Like, and it has happened in history, of course, right? So I do not want to negate that. But today, in today's times, like, dang, divide did for a
Mm-hmm.
plethora of reasons. Some may say there's one main reason, right? But they were divided. And that it just begs on the question of like, okay, guys, are we going to stay divided or are we actually going to come together so we can live in a world that services everyone, that services all of us, that helps us be better versions of ourselves? And only that, we can create a space in a community where there is safety, understanding, and we're all out here winning.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just like, oh, you're trying to push a certain political agenda, I'm not trying to push anything. The only thing I'm trying to push is, can we stop arguing and just get together? Why can't we get along? There's like so many songs written about that.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we be friends is a song that just literally popped in my head. Why
Yeah.
can't we be friends? No, for reals. Like, but that conversation with Ileana talking about actually the social injustice that has
Mm-hmm.
happened in for many groups of people, right? It really just did. For me, what I took away from it, it was just like, what am I doing to help my community? And not just like my specific Latino community, is just like, what am I doing to help my community in general, my people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even my neighborhood, right? So this podcast is not just about like, we're not going to just say, hey, go and help, go volunteer, all that. But it's just a good conversation that we're going to have that brings on the reminder of we're not alone. And let's talk about that aspect of community, or I should say the importance of community when you are struggling with your mental health. A lot of times, one of our symptoms when we are really, really struggling with our mental health is to pull away. It is to
Mm-hmm.
isolate ourselves. And like I said, baby, bring no, no, no. It's important now more than ever for you to lean in, to step in to your group. Now, if you
Yeah.
don't have a group, okay, I can understand. Absolutely. So, what can we do to get you to be part of a group? What can we do to get you to have that support? Right? I like how I say we, like as if I really am going to be there in every step of your therapeutic journey. But I genuinely just asking the question, what needs to happen here for you to feel safe with others, to have people surround you and hold you up? Are there people in your community that you need to say goodbye to? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's another layer of the conversation that we have. There's just some people
Mm-hmm.
in our community that are toxic, and they are the rot, that rotting fruit in your basket,
Mm-hmm.
right? And does that need to go? Does that need to be tossed out? It's not just to say that the person is a total scrub and anyone's indispensable, but there's something to be said about setting appropriate boundaries with people, right?
That part.
Teaching people how to treat us, right? the respect that you give to another person in hopes that you receive that as well. Is your
Mm-hmm.
community safe? Do you feel safe, right? Are you feeling accepted and heard and understood? You know, I'm getting a little like passionate because my mind's literally going all over the place. But these are just little subtopics surrounding that main theme for us, that main topic for us of community. A lot can come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of discussions can come out of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned like a lot of stuff kept popping up. Even like the very first thing I thought about was, I mean, as a ex-member of the people pleasers community, I could definitely say, like, that's the first thing that popped up for me. Like I could picture someone saying, "Oh, well, how could I toss out someone that's like in my community, but it's like, not treating me well, like, but they're like the only person I know that's in my community. How can I get rid of the only
Mhm.
person I know?" And I think that that's a hard part, of it. I mean,
For
community
sure.
itself is a very complex, like, topic. It's a very complex topic. It's very, um, like, intricate. It's not easy to it's not as easy to navigate through. But it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. So I think, yeah, like, again, thinking back to like my people pleasing tendencies of like, trying to keep a certain like group of people or person like in my community because like that's the only familiar like space I
Hmm.
knew. But is it like you said, is it the safest space that I should know? It's a good point. It's a good question to even consider.
It is. And I know everything that I just said, easier said than done.
Hmm.
Please note that when Joab and I are talking and we're bringing up certain points and bringing up certain suggestions or ideas, we do know, and a lot of times from firsthand experience, that it's easier said than
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Like these are things that we've not just seen but also have gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What just popped into my mind, right, when we're just talking about community and feeling lonely. I think we had an episode on loneliness
Mm-hmm.
last season, and I definitely would love to do a part two on that because I want to talk about indeed solitude, which is like the verses of that. So
Mm-hmm.
getting so excited. Joab, I swear, like by the end of this week, you're gonna get like a note full of ideas, like
Good.
plans.
Just send it all. Ship it. Just ship it.
He's like, the more the merrier. Great. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He's like, a whole file. Perfect. Send
I mean,
it over.
not too much now. Not too much now. Not too
You know what?
much.
Beggars can't be choosers. Okay, Joab?
You're right. You're right. You are so right. You know what? Let me just I'll see the file.
Just
I'll be
kidding.
surprised.
If I send the file, first of all, you need to send a text back and be like, did you do any work this week? Like, what is.
Was all your work focusing on topics for the podcast?
Yeah,
Oh
how
my
did you have the
goodness.
time? How did you have the time?
Listen, sometimes it happens like that. Listen, you can't. When you're on that wave, you just got to keep riding it. That's all you could do.
This is very true. This is very true. But I digress. I thinking about that episode of loneliness, right? I was just thinking about how, um, since we're talking about community, how I think I even said it like there's times that even I have felt lonely in the midst of people. So I could
Mm-hmm.
legit be surrounded by folks and still feel that loneliness, still feel that intense uh, feelings and thoughts of no one gets me, no one's understanding, no one knows the pain that I'm going through, and I wouldn't be surprised that there are some of you out there, right, who have felt that. So let's talk about it, and let's talk about the what we can have hope in, right, and maybe talk about what we can do. But like I said, this isn't therapy either. These are discussions and encouragements, period. That's it. Discussions
Mm-hmm.
and encouragements that we have in this podcast. But ultimately, the goal of our podcast here is just for people to just be the best versions of themselves, right? To recognize like, hey, maybe I deserve better, or to recognize, hey, I can do better, or to maybe recognize, hey, why am I not going for this dream that I've had? Why do I feel like I can't accomplish this, right? Whatever it is, just know that we just trying to spread something as we pray positive, right? To encourage folks to be the best versions of themselves, not the perfect version, but the best version. Let's actually kind of get into
Mm-hmm.
the name of the podcast, because I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
that was like, I feel like that was like a good setup. The name Be in Tune actually comes out of our sponsor of this episode and all of the episodes, Imperfectly Tuned Counseling. That is the name of my therapy practice that I have. So shout out to Imperfectly Tuned. Can I get the
Ooh,
little little horn sound? I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
no problem.
Because
We got
the
you. Got
practice deserves a shout out. So yes, it was just a play on words, or it was just inspired by that. And the reason why I called imperfectly tuned is because one, we need to learn to let go of the idea of perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. And as a recovering perfectionist, I needed that constant reminder to, especially when it comes like to owning a business, right? Or doing therapy, right? Or just being an entrepreneur, right? Learn to not be perfect on something. Learn to go with the flow and take whatever comes as whatever it comes. Deal with the matters at hand. No, you're not a failure. No, you're not a screw up. For learning something new, or for simply trying something new. So I think a lot of
Hmm.
times we get on ourselves and we are striving for perfectionism, when in idea reality we should be striving for healthy striving, right? Learning how to take our steps forward, or do whatever it is that we're doing, to our best of our abilities, but not have that negative core belief that we're not enough, or fall back on that negative core belief, or fall back on that anxious behavior of like, I can't do this, or I screwed this up, so this we have to restart it again. I always
Mm.
think about too, when I was learning how to when I was taking music lessons, specifically when I was taking piano. My piano teacher, she was so cute. Shout out to Claudia. I loved that every single time she would clap every single time I played a piece right, and I was in my 20s. So it was adorable. She
It's the encouragement.
It was I didn't know I needed that, because I just come in and I'd
Mm.
be, and she'd be like, "Yay! Like you did it!" And I was like, "Thanks!" Like the little kid in me is just like, "Hey!"
We need that. That's
Oh,
actually adorable.
it is adorable. Claudia is amazing. She's still giving lessons, and I love that. Anyone who's taking lessons from her are definitely, they're being encouraged for sure. So,
Mm.
yes, in my 20s, I that's when I got into my grad program to study clinical mental health counseling and to study music therapy. Fun fact about me, I had to go learn take piano. I had to take piano lessons because I needed the understanding of playing piano to continue in my program. I played guitar most of my life, so that's my primary instrument. But every single time I would play a piece, I would get to a certain point and I'd be like, "Ugh," like that part of the piece, they're like, I don't know if my fingers are gonna do it. And then when I screw up, I started all over again. And Claudia was just like, first of all, you got the hesitation blues because you already are doubting yourself when you get to that point.
Mm.
And second, let's actually learn to not just restart the piece, but let's actually learn to take time and practice that part that you keep screwing up on, and then practice a measure right beforehand. So, therefore, it can be a smooth transition.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I think, a wonderful imagery on what it is to let go of perfectionism and to move towards healthy striving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, imperfectly Tuned was just a nice reminder for me to be like, let go of perfectionism and to be tuned. As I mentioned, I am a music therapist. Well, I studied music therapy. I want to be more clear on that, right? And I obviously, to play my instruments, they have to be what? Tuned.
Mm-hmm.
A guitar has to be tuned in order for it to sound nice and to,
Mm-hmm.
be able to play the instrument wonderfully. At the same time, too, it's a good play on words because we need to learn how to be tuned into our emotions, tuned into our thought process, tuned into our behaviors, tuned into each other. How are you interacting with the
Mm-hmm.
world around you?
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Joab? Because I heard the little
I,
gasp.
I was saying to my thing that was a loud gasp. No, but I was gonna say like for those who maybe aren't so much in like the music realm, or maybe like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
too much in like the what's it called, the music terminologies, but like what like do you mind expanding further on like tuning? Like what does that even sound like? What does that even look like?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, what were they called? Well, they were called tuners, but like those
The
metal.
forks, tuning
Yes,
forks. Yep, yep.
tuning forks, right? So we use those, and you can help out with the science end of things. But I used to
Mm-hmm.
have a physics teacher. He legit would take the tuning fork, hit it, and then he would hear it and then tune his guitar so the vibrations could match.
Mm-hmm.
And if that string that he was tuning was matching the vibration of that tuning fork because it creates like a certain sound, then he was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, the guitar is tuned. Meaning that the guitar in that string in particular is turned, the knobs are turned in a certain way that when you play it, it's a clear, crisp sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very simplistic way of breaking this down. If there's someone who's really into music and gets inspired and wants to add more to this, by all means, please put it in the chat.
Right, the music theories. I
By
mean, I could
all
just say
means.
if from the science side of things, I could just say, I mean, you're definitely like on par with like, because I mean, like it's all vibrations, right?
Yes,
Vibrations and
yes,
frequencies. Because like what
yes.
you're doing here is you're matching like frequencies. Because a guitar string vibrates, tuning
Mm-hmm,
fork also vibrates and produces like a same similar like frequency. So
mm-hmm.
what you're really doing is, in like essence, is just matching the frequencies. One that's like not tuned to one that is like a set frequency. So but the
Yeah.
main focus is that as they have to match for them to be tuned. So like that's
Yes.
like the science side of things.
Yes. It's especially if you ever decide to tune your guitar with a tuning fork. I was like,
That's old
this
school. That's real
that's
old school.
I was like, okay, show off. Someone's bringing in the science and the music here. However, most some old school guitars or some guitarists nowadays, they have really good ears, right? So some
Mm-hmm.
people have perfect pitch. So that means like that vibration, that frequency is for them, what they can hear is what's that clear sound. Actually, think of it as like a radio dial when you're
Mm.
trying to find the right station. Granted, majority of people nowadays just connect their phones and they're playing whatever's on their phone in music playlists, or they already have like Spotify in their car, right? But
Mm-hmm.
back in the day, right?
Dang, Darren, you are dating yourself. My
It's
goodness.
still a thing now. It's still a thing now. Like
It is. It definitely is.
I purposely either press the button or turn the knob, right, for my radio to find a station that I like and that it sounds clear. So that is what, in essence, what it means to tune your instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do we tune our instruments? Because if your guitar is sounding a little too flat, so it's like a little on this side, or a little too sharp, right, it's not gonna, whatever it is that you play, it's going to be very uncomfortable, for one, for the ears, but two, for the piece of music that you're playing. Granted, some songs, some musical pieces on guitar, you need to tune your guitar a half a step down, meaning that it's not going to be in that really straight standard tuning. It's like half a step to the left, if you want to think of it this way, you know, to your standard tuning, because the piece requires it. Because that means you're going to play a
Mm-hmm.
certain note or certain in a certain key where that tuning supports it. it's getting all really technical and whatnot. But ultimately, we just need to kind of turn our dials or press our buttons or tune into a frequency, a vibration that just helps us to be connected, helps us to be
Mm.
connected with ourselves and with others. So when it came to creating the podcast and when it came to the name of it, and Joab, I love that you've always been in support of it. You really like love it. Definitely let it come out of your business. The Be in Tune podcast. Let's be in tune with our faith, our mental health, and our community.
I love that wrap up. I love that wrap up.
It was really sweet. It was really like nice moments.
Yeah, I mean, we got everything. We had like the full breakdown, the music theory, and the wrap up. Like,
You were like, yes,
yeah,
this
I
is
fully
it.
co-sign. Fully co-sign. Honestly, well, actually, do you
Oh,
remember when we first were picking when you were first picking the names? There was a name that you had originally picked, and I was like, it needs something. Do you remember that?
when I first picked the name,
Yeah, because remember how like when you first started the podcast, you had a list of names,
uh huh.
and then I think there was one that you were considering, but I'm like, I like this one, but I think there's something else that should be added in. Do you remember that conversation?
I do remember the conversation. I'm just trying to remember what was the name that I.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't remember what it was. I really don't.
I was like, what was the name?
Mm, I can't remember.
Oh, I
It
think
was.
it
It had.
was. I think it was tuned in. I think it was that
Yes. Yes.
tuned
Yes.
in,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes. Yep.
you're like, it's great, and I feel like something is missing. And then
Yes.
I was like, and I think I said something about like, well, I always say in for my practice, like for my practice in social media, I'm like, be imperfectly tuned. So then I was like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got so I remember I
Mm-hmm.
got excited. I was like, wait a minute, the Be in Tune podcast. And you were like,
Mm-hmm.
there it is.
That was the one. I
Oh,
was just thinking back to that, I'm just like, wow. Yeah, like the Be in Tune podcast is like very like symbolic of a lot of things. I mean, I kind of think of it as like a double entendre to a lot of stuff. Like you were saying, like Be in Tune, of course, with like faith, mental health, and community. Um, but like also for yourself, like we talk about
mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm,
God, Jesus Christ, like in this podcast all the time. Like also
mm-hmm.
being in tune with Him. Um,
Absolutely.
like there's just a lot of things, with each other. How you're feeling. Like I think that's just the core of what this podcast is really trying to aim for. And what I was gonna say earlier is I feel like again, this not being a free therapy, because we're not giving through free therapy, definitely not. But I think it's one thing to say like it's easy for people to kind of see therapy as for the people who not like are better off or like they're good that they don't need it, because I think we always talk about it, everyone needs like therapy. It's beneficial for everyone. But I think for those who again like have like more information, I'll say, of like mental health, it also helps you kind of be that person who needs that community, be that person who doesn't know all of it, who isn't like fully aware, or fully like included. um like it helps you like look out, seek that out, because you do have the skill sets, you do have the information, like being that bridge for someone else to also have it as well. I think that's also the core of this podcast as well. So it's really for everyone, and you really think about it, it really is for everyone, and everyone can benefit. I don't think there is one person under the sun that couldn't benefit from like the core of like the Be Into podcast.
Mm-hmm,
So it just made
mm-hmm.
me think about all that.
Yeah, I like that, Joab. I like that.
Yeah.
Your face is giving. I subscribe to this. I subscribe to
Don't
this
even.
message.
Don't even. How do I subscribe to the message? Chill.
But you're like really like,
No,
yeah.
I was passionate about it. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, maybe I'm taking it more personal, because I'm thinking of it of like me pre-passion for mental health, because I guess the analogy to that would be like me like still sleeping, but like walking, but like not knowing I'm asleep, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. Like, you know, like, and it's like you don't realize it until like you actually wake up. It's like, oh wait, like, no, like this, the way I've been doing life hasn't been the best way. Like I've been going about it, you know? And or you probably seen someone else and you're just like, why is like, you know, they're doing better. Meanwhile, like they could also be like, you know, having their own list of like struggles. So it's like, oh dang, my perspective is off and I didn't realize it. You know, like there's just so many things that you start waking up to as you immerse yourself more into mental health. So I was thinking of the person who's like in that state, you know, and or sometimes like we can be in that state as well, even if we do have the information. So that's why I say like it's really for everyone because everyone can benefit from it. Everyone can learn to grow and better themselves and better each other. Um, yeah, and it's like as us being very passionate for the field, Darien being in the field, um, you know, just sharing that with everyone else, and just checking in. You know, I think that's the most important thing. Because I know that me pre-passion like would have wanted that and would need that. So yeah.
I love that imagery of us walking around asleep, right? I think a lot of us have been there or are there, right? And to get that encouragement to look at things from a different perspective or to do things a little bit differently. And when you start waking up, it's just, first of all, it's exhausting. Growth can be tiring. It really
Very,
can.
very.
Yeah, it really can be tiring. And it can be one of the most rewarding things in your life. I said
Mm-hmm.
one of the most rewarding things. So change is never easy. Growth is never easy. And yet it's in a way required of us, right? As a species, we've always been evolving. Change is one of the only constants. One of the only constants. My other constant is God, right? But that's my belief, right? Um, so therefore, when it comes to our personal growth, our emotional, mental, behavioral growth, it can first of all come across a bit daunting, and it's okay. And it can come across as frustrating. It can come across also as, why do I have to be the one to change and this person ain't changing, right? uh, for sure.
It's real.
And I would say to you is just, and continue going down that path. Just continue going down that path, because I think the best has yet to come for you when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
that growth. You haven't received the full reward of that yet. So
Yeah.
continue walking down.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think of that like picture where it's like that person's mining underground trying to find diamonds and like he's
Yeah.
like one fingernail thickness from just breaking through to get to a load of diamonds, but he turns around, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, like you're going to get to that space eventually. Like you're going like scientifically, you're going to get to that space because you're going in a positive direction. So eventually you will get there. That's just a journey. That's what it's
Absolutely.
called, the journey. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, Joab, I love the encouragement.
I appreciate
He's
it.
like, I'm that type of guy. You know what I mean? I'm just that
uh,
guy.
which honestly, you need to get that on a shirt because I realize that's your saying. You'd be like, he's just that guy.
Do I really
He's
say
just
that?
that guy. You do say that a lot.
No
That's your
way.
saying.
What?
That's a Darien certified like saying.
I got so excited. I was like, I've always wanted to have like one of my sayings on a shirt. He's just that guy.
Literally, literally. Shoot,
I love
I'm
it.
telling you, put that on the shirt. Now, at this point, you must have to. You must.
We'll see. We'll see where this goes. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
I think that this is a great place to actually wrap up here. I do want to actually end with several things, two more things, but the one thing to like really end with our conversation, I stated in the first episode of last season, do we really need another podcast in the world? And I make that joke, or I ask that question jokingly a lot. No, we didn't really need another podcast. There's a lot of voices out there. Everyone's constantly chattering, right? And you're just hearing chatter, right? And it's okay. Everyone has the right to speak their minds and such. So what makes this podcast different? You don't have another Darien and Joab doing a
There you go.
podcast. You can have people who maybe somewhat think like us, touching on similar topics as us and such. But you don't have there's no two other folks that are us doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are called Darien and Joab and have our DNA and personalities. Are you trying to say that you're special? No, I'm just trying to say I'm unique. That's it. We're all unique. This is just another take, another perspective. So we hope that you join us for the ride here, especially for season 2. Season 2, I think Joab and I last season, we were just talking about this. We were just throwing things up against the wall. What was going to stick? We were trying. We tried different platforms. We tried different whatnots like microphones, settings. I told Joab, I was like, low-key felt like you were sabotaging me because my camera quality was terrible for a good sort of part. I know he's rolling his eyes. He's like, because he's obviously no. The answer is no to that. But as you could tell, I have a better camera quality now, a better mic. But not only that, it's just last season, I loved it. It was totally working towards that healthy striving that I was talking about earlier. Last season was just us trying to find our footing, figure this out. And for our guest that came on last season, I don't know if I said this in our last episode of the last season, probably did, but I want to repeat this again. Thank you so much. Y'all were amazing. Like, thank you for your insight and for your time and for your wisdom and your space. Like, it was just awesome.
Yeah.
And we, at least Joab and I took that from last season. We're like, well, we know that that's our thing right there. Let's just keep talking to different people. Let's just keep having the conversations. So this season, this season, what we're hoping to do, we're hoping to, have a little bit of a different structure, but just to continue the conversation. We stuck a lot of things against the wall. We saw what stuck, and now we're just going to take it and we're going to mold it into something that I think will be better and more fortified. Is that a good use of the word? No, that means strong.
Yeah, and make stronger. Yeah, I guess I could apply. Make it strong. Well, yeah, make it stronger.
Okay. I looked at you. I was like, PhD, come through with the vocab.
Listen. I still Google synonyms for happy, okay, when I'm writing, or other synonyms. So, listen.
Elated, joyful, you know.
Oh, yeah, the therapist. It's easier for the therapist to say that. Yeah, of course.
It's not that. It's not
you
that
have the whole
easy.
feelings wheel memorized, okay?
Okay, you know what? Someone's feeling a type of way, and we're just gonna move on.
Oh my gosh!
You almost fell off your chair on that. That's definitely another thing you're gonna hear a lot in this season. Joab and I laughing because we are homies, so we need to be laughing. We need
First and foremost, it's healthy. Absolutely.
Yes. Good. You know, increasing our white blood counts there. Like, we laughing.
Does it? It does. It does. Oh shoot.
Dude, not me coming in with some science facts right now.
Listen,
come on.
I did not know that. I'll be honest. Oh shoot. Okay.
At least I think it does. Let's verify that after this.
Right.
But with all of that being said, thank you for listening to our first reintroduction episode. We really appreciate you just tuning in. You saw what I did there? Really do. Another thing that we want to start instituting into our episodes is we want to end our episodes with promo of the week. And what that means is we're going to highlight a member of our community. Joab and I phrased it that way, and we got so excited. Um, so the member that we're going to highlight is Anselm Studio. So you would be like, oh, is that members? No, it's one person. Her name is Valerie Anselm. She is the owner of Anselm Studios. Listen, if you're looking for some dope pics to be taken of you, and I don't mean just like, oh, me by the seaside, right? And I just need a new Facebook profile pic or Instagram or whatnot. I meant like portraits, studio photos, business photos. My fellow therapists, you need some new pictures for your market, like for your websites, your marketing websites, right? Or medical professionals, or anyone who is trying to put themselves out there and they just need some really awesome photos taken. My girl Val is that girl. She is that girl. She took some really dope pics of me last year, and she's going to do it again this year. I cannot wait. Valerie has always been into photography. We went to college together. She was trying to study to be a medical doctor. I said, I see a camera more in your hand than I do the anatomy textbook. That's what I was thinking in my head. So, needless to say, she pivoted from that desire and pivoted more into what she truly dreamt of and what she really wanted, and her God-given talent of being a creative. So check out Anselm Studios. I highly recommend her. You will not regret this choice. She is professional. She is with you with every process, like every step of the process. And she's an awesome gal. So check out Anselm Studios. You want some photos? There you go. Or some videos too. Whatever it is, talk to her. She's got you. So that is our member of our community whom we're highlighting. So I love it. And with that being said, take care of yourselves and remember, be in tune. Peace.